Well, so let's start by knowing that it's a relatively recent phenomena that power has escalated and cascaded to young startup founders with companies of this size. It usually took longer in the past. And so I do believe that it's a new phenomena that requires some new structured thinking around it, which is why I think the idea of a digital native and young digital leaders paired with modern elders is a wise way to go. But I think more than anything, we just have to recognize that these young digital leaders, somehow we expect them to miraculously embody the relationship wisdoms and the leadership thinking that we elders have had decades to learn. So it's really unfair. Mm-hmm. And yet it's very much what the media does. And it'd be interesting to hear Brian's point of view on it, because there's an element of it that's sort of like exciting and ego-filling, and then there's another part of it that can actually be, you become stereotyped as just the hoodie-wearing CEO, especially here in San Francisco, with the sort of occasional anti-tech perspective that happens in San Francisco. So I don't know. How does that feel?
I don't wear hoodies very much.
Yeah, you don't. You used to wear them more often.
Yeah. I think that here's the thing I would say about most people starting companies. I mean, maybe many of them are very ambitious from the beginning, but I mean, we were trying to rent 3 airbeds. And the reason we were is because we wanted to pay rent. We weren't trying to start a global movement with hundreds of millions of community members. So I guess what happens is responsibility gets thrust on you very quickly. Mm-hmm. And my parents are social workers. So I was used to calling my mom and dad and saying, "Mom, Dad, I got this challenge, what do I do?" And I call them up about this, and they they're brain melts, and it's just really hard. What do you do? I have all this responsibility. And so you end up getting this responsibility so quickly. And so I think my feedback to founders, I mean, I don't know how it's, I think they're often people, when they're thrust with responsibility, they don't want to be vulnerable. They want people to think that they know what they're doing, and they want to feel like they're knowers. And the problem is that the best thing you convince people is not that you know what you're doing, but that you can learn quickly. Because let's be honest, somebody starting something, regardless of age, they've never done before, you don't know what you're doing. And so I want to know that you can learn very quickly, and you can seek out one another, and you can have a very very short learning curve. And so I think that's the key thing. One of the things that Chip turned us on to was a book by Carol Dweck, which is called The Growth Mindset. And it basically, the very short version of the growth mindset is there's people who believe that your capabilities, your intellect is fixed. And so therefore, you defend who you are. You are afraid to make yourself vulnerable, and you don't want to admit you don't know something. And the problem is, if you're a knower and you know it all, well, there's nothing more to learn, and therefore you're not going to grow. And there are other people who believe that your potential is unlimited, that who you are is not fixed, that who you are is a moment in time, it can become and grow and evolve. And these are people that are growth mindsets. I think Chip and I just had that worldview. I think people often sometimes fall into one camp or the other. And that's probably the most important thing, is constantly having a growth mindset at any age.